I wanted to try something new today, and I bought this inkstand. What I thought was just a jar for ink off eBay, like an old vintage, super heavy. It's about 16 ounces. This is like Bakelite, cool jar for ink. I thought I'd fill it up and sort of dip my pen in it, but then I noticed that this particular pen doesn't go all the way into the reservoir. There's two sort of levels. There's a step in here, so there'd be a little bit of ink here, and then there'd be a lot of ink up here, and that just seems like a lot of ink. So I never used it. I never really figured out what it was for. But what I loved about it was that it's old and cool and heavy, and it says self-closing inkstand, which I also didn't quite understand. Also that it was made in Milwaukee, which is where I was born. And so this is a number 15, I guess. So I looked around and I found another sort of newer version of it, still in the box. I mean, I know, of course, it's also super old still. And so I thought I would try it out for the first time right now. So opening it up, you can see that it's very similar. I think it's newer than this one. This is plastic, and this is, I think, Bakelite. You can tell by that matte finish. It's the same brand, but it's kind of crappier plastic. This is a number 51, it says on the bottom. This is 15. Oh no, that's 51 as well. And it's got something weird inside. It comes with this weird little plastic thing with a sort of a bobber in it. It's hard to see, but it's got like a plastic disc in there. And I think this is the self-closing part that the other one didn't come with. You can see it kind of pops up there. So luckily this one came with instructions and kind of explains to you how to use it. And so I am going to read and follow carefully. I've already read it. These are some of the other ones. It comes with never wash in hot water. And I believe I understand how it works, so I was going to try and do it here. Now, one thing I didn't necessarily want to do is, this is a $40 bottle of ink. I didn't want to use this whole thing. And so what I do sometimes, it doesn't seem to matter for the art that I make. This is a same brand, but a much cheaper version. This size bottle is like $12 of the Black Star ink. It's waterproof and matte and super dark black. This is like $4, and it does the same thing for me. So I thought I would use these to fill it, because this is a fairly large, just like with the other one, like a little shelf, and it's a fairly large reservoir, and you've got to fill it up pretty high in order for it to work. And so I thought I would try it out. So this is a brand new bottle that I'm going to dump in there. Oh, I guess it kind of tips over a little bit. Here's another one. So this isn't too much money in ink, but geez, that's a real dark ink. I think that's as high as I need it. I can always fill it with a little bit more as I go on if I need to. And so then I'll screw this on. Oh, they say specifically don't get any ink on the threads. I guess because that will gum up the works and it'll make it harder to get open again. So you notice it's hard to tell, but it's kind of closed off there. The ink makes this little floaty thing float to the top. So every time you dip your pen in, oh, I don't think I have enough ink in there. Yeah, maybe I do. It doesn't quite cover the nib. But every time you dip it in, you're supposed to be able to get just the right amount. And it specifically says, do it as fast as you want. Don't do it slowly. Do it really fast. Which I guess kind of works. There's a little hole here, I think, to let the air in and out so that it doesn't pool up over the edges when you push it down. But I think it kind of works. It looks, I don't want to tip it over too much, but it looks cool with the glass thing filled up with ink. One thing I worry about is I use these Gillette 290 steel nibs, and they're so fine that if you catch them on the paper wrong, one of those little sort of tines will bend just enough so that it won't work and ink won't flow anymore. But it's so easy to press this down that, no, this is an old nib, that doesn't seem to really bother it. This, I think it's because this is an old nib that's not working very well. But this is one of those quote unquote anime nibs. It's just a simpler one. It doesn't quite, oh, I guess it does. I think I need more ink. I think that's what the thing is. I'm gonna try putting a little more ink in there. There we go. Yeah, that helped pop it up a little bit more. Clean the edge off so that I follow instructions just right. All right, let's try this now. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, it doesn't really get splashy either when you dip it in pretty quickly, which is cool. Anyway, these are cool. The question is how long. I think you're supposed to be able to leave it without it drying out or evaporating too much so that the ink gets too thick for a long time, because it's basically sealed with that top part there. So yeah, cool. It's nice and heavy, so it won't slide off the desk that easily. That's what it is. Sengbusch plain glass self-closing inkstand. And I looked on here, I didn't get a year for this, but I really don't know. Yeah, this is Milwaukee as well. Okay.